So good morning, everybody. Another Q for Team session. Got Ricardo and Stacy here. Nash may be joining us here to talk about Teams and how to use it more effectively. So feel free to start typing away in the chat, coming off mute, but we're here to talk. I don't think we've got any big topics we came ready to do. So we're ready to hear from you.
That's right.
I'd like to hear if you got any insights on share to Teams. So it's share from Outlook to Teams.
Yeah.
So let me just tell you where we are.
Yeah, please do.
It's been rolling out to us. First off, it generally only works in the browser. And when you do share to a team, you can only share generally to the general channel in a team. And I Googled it a little bit and saw that there was some issues like that when it came out on the commercial side, but I don't know if there's been a fix to that or if that's, don't know if you had any discussion or any other queries about that. It's a great feature. We want to use it as a change management thing when people say, oh, but I got stuff in Outlook. I said, well, then you can just use this to, move the conversation over.
Yeah, I can say firsthand that I've had a couple of customers report an issue around being able to search for individuals from the client side. It is intended to work in the client and the browser for Outlook today. So if you're not having it that way, I was instructed yesterday to have customers absolutely open tickets to report those things so that engineering is aware where the full rollout is either pending, which I believe they've confirmed it's complete, or where the problems are arising so that they can address them. So because you're seeing it working properly, or is it even doing the only general channel post from the browser as well?
Yeah, so there's sort of two issues, and let me clarify a little bit what we found out on the client, and I think that it said that you have to have version 1.7. I think it uses WebView. The client uses WebView, and it's a little hard for us to tell. It's some API, and it's hard for us to tell. So that might be an issue. So like we have different access methods, right? But one of them, the client actually has the share to Teams button, but it doesn't work. Another one, it has a share to Teams button on the client, the desktop Outlook client. When you click on it, you have to open Teams in the browser, it won't do it in the desktop app. So there's some variations there. But to me, and I think a lot of that might have to do with just some of our clients may not be updated because I don't think we update through the channel, right? Since it's a government thing. I really don't know how we do it, but I know it's somehow managed a little bit differently. Right. So we may be behind on the clients, and we can check with our Microsoft people on that. But it was a share thing. It's real easy to select a person. You can share to like a chat pretty simply. Yeah. The other thing that has happened is if we have been posting in a channel recently, that channel will show up in the recent list in the share to Teams, and you can share to it. Yeah, but it seems
just the
very
search
inconsistent,
right? Yeah, and that's what I've heard. Melody's actually raising her hand. She and I spoke at length about it yesterday, trying to diagnose what might be the issue, and ultimately I had her open a ticket to report that up and get support engaged. Melody, you want to throw in your comments here too?
Sure. So yes, GCC tenant as well. And I don't know if this is just focused on GCC. I guess it is.
Mostly, yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So very inconsistent. We have found that users who are not updated on their version for their office had it. We're starting to do a project where we're getting these users up to date to the latest versions. Excuse me. So a user had full functionality as it was supposed to work. She manually updated to the most recent version of Office, and now it doesn't function as it should. So what's not happening is you get the suggestions, and you can choose from the suggestions. However, it's not connecting to the directory to search. So where it says share to, it's not pulling any opportunities up. If I had recently been in a chat with somebody or been in a Teams channel, it will discover those and make those suggestions. It's working perfectly fine in using my Outlook on the web. I just even used it just a little bit ago. I wanted to respond to somebody because Stacy knows I'm trying to push people to think Teams chat first instead of email.
Right.
So somebody sent me like one question in an email. I don't want to respond to email because I want to drive this adoption of using chat first. So I went to my Outlook on the web and responded to them to our chat, and it worked beautifully. Now she's chatting with me instead of emailing me one or two comments back and forth. So that is working like it should. The other thing is one of our IT professionals, I started working with him. He's the one that actually placed the ticket. His desktop, it worked in, and he had already to begin with, he had the newest version. I had an updated version of Office, so it's not ever functioned properly for me. So one case, he had the updated version of Office on his desktop and it functioned. He had the same version on his laptop and it did not. And he hasn't done any recent updates. He's had the same version on both machines at the same time consistently. And I've had the same updated version since it arrived in my account.
Wow. So is that Ryan you're talking about?
No, that's actually Jesse.
Okay. Well, that's interesting because that kind of it challenges our theory, right? That we
yes.
had based on the office build number. Interesting.
Yes. And then one more. So someone that I know that has a pretty old build number. I've come across two people who've had the same build number. They just get an error. So we've added that to our list. So two people who had, I can tell you, in case you care, I can tell you what their build numbers. So version 2110. And I can read you the build number, or I could post it here. I'd be happy to post it here. Let me just do that. Let me just show you two things that are happening. If I'm allowed to, if I have the ability to post to our chat here, I'll send you two things. So people with this build are getting, and I'll show you what the error is that they're getting. So this has been consistent. I've had at least for two people. I'll call that consistent for now because it's pretty inconsistent. Oh, oops, wrong one. Hold on. They are getting error. So at least two people have the same experience with that exact same version and build. And that's a pretty old version.
Okay, so it's not the same build that you and Jesse are on. It's an older version, but they're getting that error. Okay.
Right, and that's older, still an older version that people who have reported to me that it is functioning as expected. But they don't have a newer version. So I had I don't know, probably a 2300 version, and it wasn't working. People who had an older version previous to that, it was working, but now that they've updated and they've got I don't know, it's 2400 maybe now. And I did, so then we did one more test. I did update to the newest version to match. It's the same version that you reported to me that you had, Stacy. I did update from the 2300 to the 2400, whatever that series is right now. So I have the exact same version that you have, that you showed to me the other day, and it's still not allowing me to connect to the directory.
Okay. And Ricardo, I think you're probably running that build too, and it looks like it's
Yeah,
connecting.
I
It's
feel like
finding
I've
those
updated
recents.
everything, and
Mhm.
definitely I'm seeing the behavior you guys are describing. This isn't really letting me search for anything, but it is deciding which couple of ones it thinks I might want based on recent. And this one actually just now popped up. So yes, it
I
yeah.
Sorry, I have found that it will suggest people that are in the email will show up in that suggested list, people that you've recently had a chat with, or Teams channels that you've recently interacted in. And I thought I was going to say one more thing that I noticed. I'll raise my hand if I remember what that was, because right now I don't.
Yeah.
Oh, there's no, I don't remember.
So yeah, at least in my environment, not fully baked. But if you choose the two that they suggest, it does send it there. So
Yeah, so the moral of the story is if it's misbehaving for you, please submit a ticket, because that's how the messages get up to engineering, where they can prioritize and tackle these issues as they arise. I certainly had my two customers who were experiencing those things yesterday submit the ticket, and of course that's going to be combined with our community of tickets to help engineering solve all the parts and pieces that might be contributing to this this unintended experience.
and just like somebody said, it looks, well, I was going to say web works better. It worked a little better in that it suggested a person, but still no general searching.
Which is really weird, because for me, Outlook on the web is working.
Yeah, it's finding people pretty well, but not channels.
I think I was able to do both.
Yeah. So it's definitely better than the desktop, but still not perfect.
It's a teaser, like Loop. We had Loop a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Sort of.
Yeah, I can say that yesterday it was actually finding teams, and the behavior I'm seeing now is the same that Ricardo's got. It's only finding people and or recent activity.
Well, software likes to get ready for long weekends too.
Yes,
So
there you go.
you know,
But
It may be a positive indicator that they're working on it, right?
right? Yeah.
Correct. Yes.
I don't know why this is, but I always tell everybody, and sorry, Stacy and Ricardo, if you don't want to hear it, but when we're when we're getting something new, Teams breaks a little bit. So it's like when you go to clean out this big closet that you have, in order to clean it out, you got to make a real big mess first, right? You got to pull everything out and make a mess where you can put it back in there nice and neat. That's what it reminds me of. I don't know why, but and I might be the only one who notices it, because I use a lot more of our tools in Teams than probably most of our users do. But like, it just breaks just a little bit. Something does.
The overall effort, though, is worth it, right? When
It
the
is,
project is done, then you are off and running with the cool stuff, right? But yes, there's always, it seems, a little settling in that we do across all of the platforms that Teams is deployed to.
Yeah, I definitely don't ever complain when people say something. It's like, we're getting something new. Just hold on.
Yep.
But I would say, like Melody, this is a super feature to move people over to Teams. So if you're on an email with, I say, one or more people, and that they are actually on a team that you're all in, just push them over to the team, right? It's just a great way to get people over to their team.
Yeah, and to tell you that this has been, it feels like years in the making, right, Ricardo? I mean, we in the government cloud were very, very eager and advocated for the voice of the customer. You know, we knew that in the government cloud, having an email address for the channel was not going to be how we did it, right? Because of the way the pieces work together, it just wasn't appropriate to bring it to the GCC in that way. And so this share to teams fills that gap. And it just absolutely years in the making to get this here and to get it this far. And I think, you know, within the time span from the initial deployment through to clearing up all of these little like cobwebs that have cropped up and have made it a little bit of a bumpy ride to get here, I think is totally worth it. I think you guys are going to feel very quickly how you can redirect those conversations and get people's attention around how teams, why you've been saying what you've been saying all along while you're leading and championing teams. I think will become pretty obvious once folks start having those daily conversations there. Melody, your hand went up. Did you remember the other thing? I was just
going to say, let's just cross our fingers that our email lovers don't take our share to Teams and then go over here and then share it right back out to Outlook and try to get the email conversation going again.
They would never do that.
Sorry, I just had to bring
change people. We can get there.
Yeah.
Melody.
Yeah, so it's a question. Should we, when it's all working like it should, be able to drill down to choose a channel in a team site? Because right now I can choose a team site, but it's only giving me general. So obviously that would not be my first preference, would be to post things to the general all the time.
Let me show it on a commercial tenant. What I would think would be the approach. We haven't heard that there's any GCC specific implementation, you know, for compliance or anything like that. But so there and share to Teams, and so yeah, you got recent locations. But then if I'm trying to remember what name of a channel here. Like digital assets should come up. I think I lost my window. There it is. Digital, right? No, that can't be right. So let's see. Because there's research and development. That is a channel that's not general. So there may be a service issue, period, because this is commercial.
Ricardo, try starting with the team name. What I've seen is sometimes you got to put the team name in and then and then go all the way out to the channel.
A project team, so that's general. But then I want that digital. Mark a project team. Yeah, I still can't type in that digital channel. This makes me think there's something going on with the service there, because this is commercial and I still can't search for that particular channel.
Well, and their mitigation for the tickets that they've been receiving may have, things tied up.
Yeah. Because in theory, I wanted to put it in there or any of these, right? Let's see, NC. Try to search there. Oops. Oh, I'm in the wrong thing. Let's try that button. Share to Teams. NC. See, it found that one.
Yeah, because that's a channel.
Yeah. But it didn't find digital, and even
But was it because you were in that channel? You went to that NC one.
That would be an interesting there. I never clicked on it though, so I wasn't really in it. Let's try go to market. Share the teams. Go to. See, so it's finding some stuff. I don't know why it doesn't like that digital one.
Click on the digital one like you did the go-to-market. You clicked on it, right, for a second?
Yeah.
Or no?
Digital. It may be digital. So I clicked on it. Digital assets. Come back here. Share the teams. That would have been an interesting workaround, but
that was never a changed channel name or anything like that, right?
Well, it is one that comes with the stock
Yeah, I thought so.
demo content. So yeah, suspect from that perspective, because I think these are maybe O365 groups that got turned into teams. So that's a good point. Then of course I don't have any other.
But it was finding some of those other ones, which theoretically would behave the same way since they were all original.
Yeah.
So sometimes we don't have full functionality of private channels, but in theory, should it still be able to, once it works fully, should it still be able to go to private channels?
I don't know. I was thinking that I would not expect it to work with private or upcoming shared channels, but
okay.
Yeah, it's not finding that new channel I just created. And then do I have a private channel here? Those are shared. I've got test private, so I can try that. Share the teams. Oops, good grief. Test. Oh, look at that. So the test it did. All right. Let's actually see
send it. Yeah.
And well, it actually enabled the send button. Because when I was messing around with mine a while ago, it actually offered up a recommendation to send to this chat, but it never actually fully enabled it after I selected it because it didn't turn on the share button. Actually, made me think I was going to send you guys something to this chat.
So it did confirm private channels are okay. But yeah, the searching, even in this commercial tenant, still got something going on.
Oh, wait, interesting. Now, under recommendations, it did offer me a channel that, well, it went away. For a second, it offered me a channel to one of my team sites that I had recently been in. Well, I posted in yesterday.
Somebody is hard at work right now over in engineering. They're probably watching this feed, watching and listening to us right now and making real-time changes.
I would forward them the recording in a minute if I knew.
Right.
If I knew which engineer was pushing the button, I would do that.
Do one more thing here. This is the web of commercial.
And for GCC, it doesn't seem like it's actually, and I wouldn't expect necessarily that it would, allowing to send to people outside of the organization that you have chats with. Because Stacy and I use chat pretty often. It did show me the option of sending it to our chat, but it didn't ever. When I selected it, it said it couldn't do it. So I'll be curious to see if that ever changes. But it makes sense if it doesn't.
Yeah, I think so too, particularly because of Microsoft's tenant settings that limit our file sharing abilities in chat. So that could be the culprit, even if the functionality might entertain it. Tim?
Yeah, I just did a couple of quick tests, and I went over to a couple of teams, just test teams I have, and as long as I posted something in the team, then would show up in my recent to share to it. but it actually, there was even a slight delay. I mean, it was only a minute or two, but just going to the channel and kind of looking at the channel didn't seem to do it. But if you actually posted something into it, it then came up as the recent, and it worked to send to it. So it's one way to get it onto the recent list if you really want to.
Good.
Stacy, I think that your thought that either the longer I have that window open to share to teams sitting in my email before I actually start doing anything, or because they are doing things in the background in my on the web Outlook, I am starting to actually get more options.
Okay.
So I think that you were right. They're actively working on this.
Oh, I have no doubt that there's already work being done just based on awareness that I have of just my customer tickets. I know that Melody, you and I are cutting edge, but I'm sure there are others who figured out that there were some issues first. So I doubt we were the first to report that. And I know that that these support tickets, once they're raised, they're getting attention and getting worked on, our support channels. And Ricardo, you can say more about that now in your current role, that especially when there are multiple tickets that come in fairly close in timing to each other, our ability to assimilate those into one particular issue summary for engineering goes a long way really quickly. So it's, we just don't love to ask you guys to put in tickets just to do so. We do that really because it's our way to get that information to engineering fast, because they can interpret it quickly and take action quickly.
Yeah, there's certainly a layer of support there that is looking at trends and similar tickets and addressing it that way. My little digital assets channel did finally showed. I think Tim made the suggestion about typing in there, so
yay,
did work.
So I have a little workaround until it is fully doing search properly.
It's actually right now suggesting that I could send to the chat for this meeting, which I find kind of interesting. I don't have a good email I can send to the chat, but that would imply I could actually send outside of the tenant.
Yeah, Melody and I were theorizing on that. I think that she attempted to, and it didn't actually follow through.
Correct. It allowed me to choose it, but it never enabled the share button.
Good stuff. Well, we're at time here. And we see a chat for the next time, and I just missed it. What was that? To research, I see questions on Teams internal redundancy. Maybe Glenn, in our last 30 seconds here, maybe tell us what you're meaning there.
Okay, yeah, if you could please research this for next time. Basically, Microsoft retired Skype, COVID hit, we got thousands of people working outside the office online. And when Teams first came online, it lacked a lot of features. Whiteboard wasn't there, breakout rooms wasn't working too well. And since over the past 2 years, Teams has improved tremendously, added all kinds of features. And what our management did when Skype was retired, they purchased, they got Teams as our primary communication tool and Cisco WebEx as our backup. And so they're spending all this money. They're saying we have to have redundancy. If, this is their misconception. If the one Teams server in the world goes down, we need Cisco WebEx so that we can continue our work. And what me on the tech team, what we're saying is, this is a misconception. This is a waste of money. There is no one Teams server. There is a web of data centers all over North America that serve the whole world. And I read an article on this, but now I can't find it to show it to them. So I wanted to ask you, first of all, am I correct that Teams has internal redundancy. Like, let's say if we're logged into the data center in San Jose and they're overburdened with traffic, they can pass off the excess traffic to Seattle. So that's correct, right? Okay. And is there any Microsoft document that maybe you could put in the chat that I could download next time or something like that, that actually states this, so I could show management and they could terminate the other contract and save us some money?
Yeah, the direction I'd go there, I mean, it's really an Office 360. I mean, you step back 10,000 feet. I mean, it's Azure, it's our Azure cloud, and you're right. There are multiple data centers, and redundancy is tied into that. So it's kind of separate. Many ways you could research this. You could research the power of Azure cloud and redundancy there, because that's what this O365 ecosystem is built on. You could drill down to Office 365 specifically and look at what data centers and regions those are. So the short answer is yes. How, the level of detail you want to get on that would kind of, determine what documentation you are necessarily, looking for. But I doubt if you'll find team specific redundancy, because it'll be under the umbrella of Office 365 services in general. And it may be as simple as that there is an SLA document for Office 365 on all the 5 nines or whatever it may be. That may be the approach as well.
Oh, well, that's good, because we're in the process of installing Office 365 to our department right now. We're going with that. Thank you. So I will look there. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Glad you guys joined us. This is ak.ms/cute for teams. Don't forget about ak.ms/coffee for teams, and probably others as well that I can't think of off the top of my head. So with that said, we'll see you all next week. I think for all of us, have a long weekend, nice long weekend, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, Ricardo. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Ricardo.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe, and check out the blog for more content.